How to create generative patterns in Photoshop. Unfortunately, Photoshop doesn't yet come with that feature. Be really nice if it did. But what you can do is you can use a combination of Illustrator as well as Photoshop to create vector designs in Illustrator and then bring them into Photoshop. So let's go to Illustrator now. So in Illustrator, I've got Generate Patterns. You can find that in Object, and then just down to Pattern, and then Generate Patterns. And you've got this panel. I've got green and red spacecraft floating in space. You could create any design, of course. Just click Generate, and it will generate these designs here. Simply then just drag to the document, and you can see it's fairly small there, but it's a vector design. So hold down the Shift, and you can resize it, make all kinds of different sizes. I'm just going to go with a fairly big one there. I need to now copy it into Photoshop. So edit and then copy. And inside Photoshop, let's just go to Photoshop now. I can then go to File and New. So File and New and Clipboard. So you can see the clipboard there, and obviously you can change all the various settings you want, but I'm going to go with this one. I'm using RGB, and then edit and paste. And I'm using Smart Objects. Click OK. Great thing about Smart Objects, you can always resize it, modify it in multiple ways, and then press Return. Now go to Edit, and then down here to Define Pattern. So Define Pattern, and with that, you can give it a name, spacecraft, etc., and then click OK. Well, now it's stored away in the Photoshop's pattern panel. I'm just going back to my document here, and then patterns, and you can see it here. Here's the design, exactly the same as it was in Illustrator. Now all you need to do, simply just drag into the document, and then you've got your pattern. It's not a vector pattern now, it's of course a pixel pattern, but you can still of course go back into Illustrator, modify it, and then go through all the steps again to create quickly another pattern design. But now what you can do, go to Layers, and in Layers you've got here Pattern Fill, double click, and it brings this up. And then you can go for Scale, and I'm going to go with say 50 or maybe 25. And you can see now you've got this great, lovely, colourful pattern design created in Illustrator but used in Photoshop, which you can then manipulate. You can move around, reposition, and also you can change the angle if you want, and then click OK. And there it is. You can flatten it, of course, go to Layer and Flatten Image if you just want to use it as a background, maybe use it as an overlay, all kinds of different designs. So let's just go back to Illustrator again and just go through steps once again. So again, Illustrator, you've got this design. Let's just remove that one. Maybe this time go for, I don't know, letter in hands. Something like that. You could just try out different things and just go with Generate. So you're going to create some new things now. Now, I don't know if it will create a letter, as in a character, a letter that you can, a font, or maybe an actual letter. But of course, you can just work on, a letter. It's obviously got an envelope. Okay, so that's interesting design. So you've got this design, exactly the same as before, simply just drag. And then you've got this. Now, it creates it at that size. Because it's a vector, you can make it at any size. So again, hold down the Shift, and you can then drag. Now you can of course go and modify the design. Maybe you might want to tweak the design, maybe change some of the hands. Simply double click, and you can go to the individual parts, maybe change that. Up to you. Modify any part, maybe that particular letter. You want to put some text on it or something like that. It's always a possible thing there. Well, what I now can do is I just simply want to copy the whole thing. So select the whole design here, and then edit and copy again. Now, again, go back to Photoshop, and in Photoshop, File and New. And I've got 1473. Obviously, you can make it any size I want. There are limits, of course, on the pattern size. I think it's about 5,000 by 5,000. So that's a fairly large one, 1473. And click Create. And again, use a shortcut or just use Paste. And there you got it, Smart Object again. I like Smart Objects. So click there, and now Edit and again down to define pattern. So define pattern, again, it's a seamless tile, can be any size, multiple sizes, and press OK. Then go back to the document. In this case, obviously, I've still got my spacecraft there. I can just create another layer, simply go to layer, and then new fill layer and pattern, another way of doing this, and then selecting the pattern. So you can see here, I can give it a name, click OK, and you've got this. You can select this and then go down to the pattern you just created, and there it is, the envelopes. Click there, and now set the scale. Let's just go for 50 again, and then maybe change the angle, and then click OK. And of course, you can then create multiple layers of this, maybe combine them in different ways. And of course, you can still resize this again just by going over here and double clicking and just changing the scale, maybe make it 25 and click OK. And again, it can be flattened, use it as a background, use it as layers, overlays, etc. Use blending modes and much, much more. Hope you found this of interest. Any thoughts, questions, please let me know in the comments below. A like or dislike, always appreciated. Bye.